Welcome to Vine Chat, a little offshoot from Wild Wine Life. We have a long-term friend and early supporter, so I'm always appreciative of the really early supporters of Wild Wine Life, David Harmon from Carneros della Notte Winery. The, you know, not to be political, but the thing that I love about your story is that you are the true American success Horatio Alger's story in itself. That you went from working for Robert Mondavi to your own helicopter business. That when you had some misfortune, you started playing with the internet as things were growing, and you always found a way to create a new opportunity for yourself. That you are proof that America truly is the land of opportunity. It may not always be easy, and there are setbacks, but it is there. Would you say that? I mean, would you agree that that is a accurate description? I mean, that you've been able to enjoy.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's a true. I didn't start out with a pile of money like most wineries have to do. I mean, the joke is if you want to make $1 million in the wine industry, you start out with 10, and after a year, you'll have 1 million left. It's just it's very it's very rare to own your own vineyards and also your own winery. That's very rare because you got a 3-year growing period before you can even take the grapes. And then you have another 3 years after you make the grape, make the wine. So you've got about 6 years of just nothing but outgoing cash. And so you've got to be able to support that. And then you get, then it gets rolling and everything, works out. But, there's either vintners that make the wine or there's growers that grow the grapes. And so it's very rare to be both. And so it is hard work. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But I was in Air Force. I've done a lot of stuff. I am one of those that if somebody tells me you can't do it, I will do it. Just that's the drive. I used to tease people and say, "Hey, what article do you want me in? You want me in the Wall Street Journal? You want me in USA Today? You want me in Fox News? What do you want?" And it used to be a game to me that says, "Okay, give me 6 weeks, and I'll have an article in one of these magazines or whatever." And it was like a little game. So now I don't do that, as much. I'm sort of a little bit more low key on the guerrilla marketing, as I call it. But I still come up with better mousetraps, as I call it. There's always a better way to do something. And if I can find a, easier way or a better way, then, I'll try it. And I mean, I've had my successes and my failures, like you mentioned before. I had a helicopter crash that was devastating. It shut down my business, lost friends, the whole thing. But, the good news was I wasn't in the helicopter. The bad news is I did lose friends, but I had to start all over again. And that's where the wine.com came in. And, I remember, eating on $3 a day, no money, sleeping in my office. I joined a gym just so I could take a shower. I didn't work out there. It was just a place where I could take a shower in the morning. So that's, it was worth I don't know, I think back then it was $30 a month membership or something. But I paid that just to take a shower so I could, go back to work. And I just work all night long in my office and just put my head down and sleep on the floor or whatever. It didn't matter. Woke up, took a shower, and went back. So it hasn't always been just, it's not a silver spoon in my mouth, but I've had support of my parents and stuff like that. I mean, nobody really, threw me to the wolves. So I knew I wasn't going to be, out on the street. But, I didn't finish college. That was a big negative for our family. It was like my brothers did. I didn't. But, they went to school. But I was the oldest. But it's still, sometimes you don't need college. I tell everybody I'm street smart, which is fine. But I love college. I mean, I recommend people going to college. But things are changing now. College isn't what it used to be. I think it's sort of rotating back the other way around. And so, I mean, I know a lot of my friends that were Harvard business grads, but they couldn't walk across the street without having somebody give them directions. I mean, it was just pretty crazy.
So here's a question for you. And you used to do infomercials for wine.com, and you would have occasional celebrities. Tell everybody the Suzzane Sommers story. This is just beyond funny. And
Yeah. Well, this got me in a little bit of trouble, but So what happened was when I sold wine.com, we had an agreement with NBCI, which was part of NBC. It was their internet arm where they used to called Value Vision, where you used to sell watches and jewelry and all kinds of things. So they were investors in the new wine.com after I sold it. So we were given an hour each month in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, to put on a little wine show. And we were going to sell wine on television, which was one of the first because of all the state laws and everything, shipping across state lines and all that. It was, sort of opening it up that, hey, now you can buy wine on TV. This is amazing. So we hired Suzzane Sommers as a host, and the company that bought me was Virtual Vineyards, and so the host of Virtual Vineyards. So they were the two people on television. I was behind the scenes because I was the special events director, and it was up to me just to set everything up. But they were the ones on camera. I didn't want to be on camera, so I said, "That's fine. You guys do it." So our mission that month was right before Christmas. Like, I think it was October, actually. It was called Wines for the Weber. And we got the Naked Chef with his cookbook. And Weber came out with all these new grills, all different color. They were, blues and reds and, browns, all different color Webers. They used to only be black. And so they were wanting to promote this on stage. And so we had the cookbook and, the Naked Chef, I think it was his name. And so I think it was Jamie Oliver or something. And so what we did was we were promoting his cookbook, and we decided we'll do Australian wines. And that would be, down under, let's get some Australian wines that were on wine.com. We'll put them together in a little 12-pack. We'll give you a cookbook, and you could buy a Weber grill if you wanted. We'd also line you up with that. So me being the practical joker that I am, decided, the irritating part is I think it was October or November. Maybe it was November. It was colder than, it was freezing up there in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. I think it was snowing. And we weren't allowed to cook inside the studio. You had to cook outside the studio. And then after that, you had to, we could bring the food inside that was all nice and hot. But then we'd have to have like crumpled paper. I used crumpled red paper, make it look like charcoals, put a light bulb underneath it. So when you opened up the grill, it looked like it was on fire in there. And then we'd spray the meat or whatever we had on there with, we would spray that with water to make it look like it was sizzling. I mean, it was just all trick, stuff for the cameras. So I learned a lot, with that. But I had to cook outside, and it was freezing. I mean, it was freezing. And the grills, took forever to heat up because it was, we had to do charcoal. They weren't gas. They were the Weber grills. And so I'd be out there. Well, I decided to do shrimp on the Barbie. So we got shrimp, big old giant shrimp at the store. And like I said, me being the practical joker, I decided it was funny to butterfly the shrimp. And then inside the studio, since I knew it wasn't hot, I went and got 5 Barbie dolls. And I laid them on the grill. And I butterflied the shrimp, took off their clothes and put it right over them with the tail between the leg, the butterfly part to cover up all her parts. And when they opened up the lid, I just said, "It's shrimp on the Barbie." And they both just froze on television. And I was rolling laughing, thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever done in my life. And of course, when they cut to the commercial or whatever, they weren't happy. I think it was Suzzane Sommers' last episode. I think they just gave up. We're not doing this anymore. So I had to continue and do the show the next month by myself. And so what we ended up doing were they said, "Hey, you're so smart, Mr. Harmon. Let's see what you can do." And so what I ended up doing was $99 for a case of wine, and I ended up selling like $100,000 worth of wine in 1 month on television. I thought they were going to give me a Tinker Tape parade when I came back in December on this, 1 day shot. We normally did on a Thursday. And instead, I got my butt chewed out for selling so much wine during the harvest or during the holiday time that they said, "Oh, there's no way to input the orders." So we ended up manually over the weekend. I paid the employees, not on wine.com time, out of my pocket. I paid them to help me manually enter the $100,000 worth of orders, and which resolved it. But that was towards the end of my stay there at wine.com because they went ahead and had the merger go through. And when the merger went through, they decided better let Dave go, so I said, that's fine. So it worked out in the long run. I got to focus on my vineyard and the winery, and, things happen for a reason. So I looked at that, but that was one of my best guerrilla marketing. Funny. I thought it was funny. I thought it was pretty clever, but I guess they didn't have a sense of humor. Having a Barbie doll on a grill didn't probably look so hot. So
I think it's extremely funny, but then again,
yeah,
my sense of humor has, people appreciate.
Right. No, and that was one, so I remember doing that. And of course, my last day of work there, I went to In-N-Out Burger and we had 400 employees. When I ran wine.com, I had 5. But, a few years, a year later, they're up at 400 employees. And I decided to go to In-N-Out Burger and buy everybody a cheeseburger and fries for the 400 people that worked there, and loaded up the vehicle with, freaking 400 hamburgers and cheeseburgers. And I said, I'm in, I'm out. In-N-Out. I wanted to buy everybody lunch for my last day of work. So everybody was in shock that they let me go, but oh well, So then all kinds of stuff happened. They're looking at doing a movie about the whole wine.com story, because it gets crazier than that afterwards. But, that would be a whole nother episode. I guarantee.
We can talk about that down the road. I know you're down in Florida on vacation, so I truly appreciate the time and the support. Like, what I have to tell everybody is this is how early your support goes, and I'm always appreciative that when you first saw my concept video, you called me up and you asked me if I was filming yet. And I said, not yet. I'm trying to get there. And you said, well, let me know what you prefer. We can either go tuna fishing in Hawaii or salmon fishing in Alaska. And I'll never, ever forget that. And I always appreciate people like you that support the little guy.
Well, I'm a little guy too. So that's the thing. And to me, it's the giving back now. I mean, I do a lot of stuff for charity. That's one reason why I'm down in Florida here now. I'm actually checking out. We do like Florida Wine Fest out of Sarasota. It's a huge event that gives a lot back to the kids. So, kids can't control a lot of stuff. So I like giving back to the kids. So I'm actually looking for other charities. I'm in the Fort Myers area now, Naples. So I'm looking for things to do here and focus most of my charity events and stuff towards Florida now. I was in Hawaii, ended up selling my boat in Hawaii, and not getting political, but the restrictions there are ridiculous, and it's hard to get there, and it's just a pain. So I decided to pull out of Hawaii and focus on Florida. So now I'm
fishing in Alaska, or I guess
still fishing. Yeah, still fishing in Alaska. So Alaska's still there, but Hawaii will probably. I mean, I'll still go to Hawaii. I have a lot of friends there, but it won't be every month like I did since 2008. And so now I'm gonna probably come every month down to Florida, and so it's just a different coast. Instead of going west 5 hours, I'll go east 5 hours. Then I can fly over and see you midway. I can stop there in the middle.
I'll teach you how to play bocce.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you again for taking time out from your vacation with your parents. Yep. Please tell them I said hello, and make sure How about you do the plug as far as Carneros della Notte Winery, where they can find you and own a Napa Vineyard?
Right. Carneros della Notte is just carnerosdellanotte.com. And own a Napa Vineyard. You can own your own vineyard in Napa Valley for $119 a year. We lease you 2 vines. You get to come out to parties, you get to prune, you get to visit anytime. It's a unique thing. So just go to ownanapavineyard.com or go to Wild Wine Life, and they'll direct you right to me. So I appreciate it, Ray.
No, thank you, David. I hope you have a wonderful trip, and cheers. I just absolutely love your wine.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
See
you.
you later.